All right, in this video, I'm going to talk about the mental health of correctional officers. I haven't read any studies. I haven't done any research on this or anything like that. But I'll tell you straight up that I would think that the majority of correctional officers that work in maximum security type setting, penitentiary, suffer from some form of PTSD. Because I do not believe that there's any way that every day that you can wake up, you can go to work in a hostile environment where every interaction that you have with the inmate is one that's possibly a test or a manipulation to see how far they can push you or press you or hog you. You know what I mean? So the majority of the interactions, are that, even if the inmate goes, "Hey boss, can I get a non-aspirin?" And you're like, "All right." So you walk down the run, you walk over, you get some non-aspirin, you bring it up to the cell and you give him the non-aspirin, right? Did he legit have a headache, or did he just want to see if you're one of those bosses that will do your job? And I think one of the best ways to try to combat some of that stress of how you're going to interact with individuals, right, is know what the policy is on every situation that you have. So if you're a new boss, know what the policy is where you're working, right? If you know what the policy is, then you can't be wrong. And trust me, the inmates, they know exactly what the policy is. They know exactly how many peas they're supposed to have on a tray. They know exactly how many socks they're supposed to have in necessity. They know they're supposed to give their old socks to get new socks. They know what every rule is. And they see it if you paying attention, right? Did he ask me for the socks? Did I get this? Did I get that? Did he do this? Is he, if he's running that picket, is he watching the other boss? You know what I'm saying? Does he have the intercom on when the other boss is in the section? Is he listening to the conversations? And the stress and the trauma and the PTSD can be so bad for some correctional officers, right? That they often take the option out, right? I absolutely know guys that have left work, roughed up their wife, and then they chose the option, that's happened more than riding their motorcycle. They chose the option, guys that seemingly have it together, well put together, beautiful wife type stuff. They took the option, and I just think it's because years and years of that stress and, getting pushed every day to that limit. Maybe they got involved in something they shouldn't have got involved in. And then they feel like that's the only way out. So mental health and, stress and that trauma, the PTSD is very real for correctional officers, as it is for inmates. I can't even speculate on how rough it would be if you were an individual, an inmate in that situation, right? That would definitely be hard, and I advocate for mental health wellness on both sides, you know what I mean? Because no people should have to just live in torment, because think about it, if you're 18 and you go to work out there, you legit got 30, 40 years before you can retire. You can't retire till you're 58, 60 or something. You know what I mean? You have a lifetime of fuckery going on before you can retire, so you have to take care of yourself. The guys that I think end up doing well have positive outlets and coping skills and things that they can do whenever they leave work, right? The guys that don't do well, I think, are the guys that only start to socialize with other correctional officers. They only get involved in, watching lockup shows and shit like that, so it can absolutely change a person. You can, you have to be a harder person, and sometimes that starts to bleed over, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's definitely a need for counseling and things when it comes to correctional officers. The suicide and the rates of PTSD are probably staggering in that population. So, all right, y'all be easy, man. If you plan on going to work at that place, just know that follow the rules, know the policies, and have a positive outlet for relieving some of that stress, right? A good book on that is one by Robert Sapolsky, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, right? Zebras don't get ulcers because they don't live under constant 24-hour stress. They run from a lion. They have stress in that moment, but that's not stress all day long, and if you're a correctional officer, you got stress all day long. So, just think about that. Maybe y'all read that book or something if you're ever curious about something like that. All right, I'll holler at y'all. Be easy now.